just to like to say that all opinions expressed within this podcast are our own, and in the odd, rare chance we might be wrong about a certain fact, we're totally open to correction.
Which would be about 90%, I'd say.
Oh, okay, probably right. Yes,
Yeah.
I think we probably are talking rubbish. But anyway, well, I hope you enjoy this podcast, and thanks for listening.
Okay, Jobsworthism. Okay, I was in a shop not too far from where we are here, and there was a girl behind the counter, and she was chatting to another girl.
Yeah.
And in front of the counter, there's a queue of about 10 people, right?
Yeah.
And she could see it. And this drives me nuts.
Oh.
And she was leaning back, chatting to her friend.
Instead
This
of
is
doing
during
her
lunchtime in a sandwich shop, right?
For God's sakes.
Chatting away. The owner wasn't there, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the lads in the queue just lost it. He said to her, she was about, I'm going to guess she's about 25, 26.
Okay.
He said to her, are you getting paid for being here? And she went, yeah, I am, yeah. And he says, well, I'm not. This is, he said,
I know.
And he said, this is my lunchtime. It's the only time I have to get a sandwich, go back to the office and just have a bit of chill out time.
Arsing around talking to your friend.
So would you, for the love of God, get to work? And you know what? She jumped into it.
I'd say she did.
She was pretty shocked that someone had the balls to say that to her, you know?
Also, she was caught bang to rights, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
You know,
well, I always think myself that if I work in a shop, I said, is this how I'd like to be treated? If I was going into buying something, you know, I don't know. It's some sort of superiority complex that they have.
Maybe it's the only little bit of power or they can wield or exercise in their life. You know.
Do you think they do it on purpose?
I don't know. I just think people are. I just as quick aside. You know, my stepdaughter is obviously teenager, you know, but and the big thing with teens is like, oh my God, I can't do that. I'm so embarrassed. Oh, everyone will be looking at me. Oh my God. And myself and Liz sort of say, what are you talking about? No, nobody gives a shite about it. I mean, they're all too busy with their own stuff and up their own arses. Like, you know what I mean?
I think that takes a long time to learn something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits of getting older, I think.
But outside of your peers, you know, like, you know, you sort of want to be part of the group and the peers and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But you do want to, you are quite conscious because you're becoming conscious of your own existence as an adult in the world. And I think,
and your place in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it hasn't been there yet. It hasn't been done. I remember, God, I still feel so bad about it. And she knows exactly who I'm talking about. But she was 18 and we were at a dinner party. And she started going on about Marxism. How is the future?
What?
Yeah. And
is this pre or post the fall of the Soviet Union?
No, this is post. And she said, you know what? If we all just share things, it's so much better. And you know, Marx had a point. And I said, well, have you read much of Marx? And she said, not really, but you know, but it's. And I said, can you give me an example where this has worked? Now, God bless her, she was only 18. And so she didn't know much, and I felt like a dick at the end of it. And I asked, she said sorry to me, and I said, what are you saying sorry for?
Yeah.
And she said, well, you know, just talking about Marx. I said, look, at least you're talking about what you believe. So take
also,
that, you know.
You know, that's an important lesson too. Like, you have to, you know, we talked about this many times, freedom of speech. You know, you can express yourself. This is maybe you've just read a book about it. You think, God, you know, logically it seems great. You know, if we all pool our resources and the right people get the right stuff, but that's just not what happens. So, you know, fair play to her. She's learned a lesson really in that. Okay, she's in an adult situation. She brings up a topic like that. You kind of counter her, or maybe, you know, give
it wasn't rude. I was just in a counterfactual or a kind of counter idealistic way, you know.
But that's a good lesson because you know, you learn to you know, if you say something out loud, okay, particularly in a group situation, be prepared to have a discussion at the very least. You know,
that's the hard part. Is kind of you know, I always think the hardcore Marxists, and there's a few people in political parties over here which I've been to some meetings, specifically people for profit and a few other stuff, and I always laugh at them. They you say, well, Stalin tried this and Lenin tried that. Oh no, I wouldn't be like that. Oh, I see.
Well,
You'll be the benevolent leader. Oh, very good, very good, very good.
Yeah, I remember this because I think you and I were. This is back in the early 90s, so just after the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah,
and we were at some thing in Trinity, and I think it was like various different political groups.
Yeah.
And you and I went over to this dude who was like the Communist Party, and we were just like, Jesus, do you not watch the news?
Yeah.
Listen, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Come on. And it was just like that. It was like, well, I said, look, it didn't work very well. The Soviet Union gave it 70 years and blah, blah, blah. And he kind of goes, yeah, but they didn't do it properly.
I know. See,
that's a bit like
always,
the Brexit guys, you know?
Well, that's Francis Fukuyama wrote a book called The End of History.
Oh, yeah.
I know it. Have you read it? Have you?
No, what I mean is I saw an interview with him quite recently and he was discussing...
How he got it wrong.
Well,
yeah. It's probably one of the best titles for a book that's been wrong. But what his point was, the end of history, it was nothing to do with history itself. It was relevant to Marxism and Hegelism.
Oh.
And they had looked at history itself as a philosophical concept.
Right.
So he was actually referencing that. He wasn't referencing the end of history itself. He was referencing those two things with Hegel and Marx.
Oh, right.
Because the Soviet Union had been tried and historical inaccuracies had tried to be balanced out, amongst the kulaks and the workers and all that stuff.
The worst.
The worst, yeah.
Those rich peasants.
Rich peasants. Yes. Look,
that's a bit of an oxymoron. Isn't it?
Look, I've got a sack of wheat. Wow, you're loaded.
Oh God, gulag for you.
It's like, did you ever hear the expression Potemkin village? You heard that.
Yeah.
That was done by it was just Catherine the Great, and what they did.
Did it go back that far? I thought it was more recent.
No, they used to set towns up and paint them. And Catherine would come through and she'd see this beautiful town. And then they'd literally take the town down, move it 10 miles.
And then she'd see
the same town again. It's just like, this is, and she's go, God, isn't Russia wonderful,
My goodness.
But they were all just lying.
It's like what they do when the Minister for Health used to visit the hospitals when I was junior doctor.
Yeah.
A&E would be basically vacated and
That's
all the people who were on trolleys in the corridor still on trolleys, but in different corridors and not in A&E. So, and I used to think, what the hell are you doing? Like, I mean, then she comes in, she at the time, and go, well, just what are you guys bleating about? This place looks great.
Everything's okay.
Yeah.
There was two things that the Queen always said she remembered from every visit, and I can't remember the second one, of course. But the first one she said was the smell of fresh paint. Because everywhere she went, the week
got a lick of paint.
Got a new lick of paint, and she said that every room she walked into, she'd smell the paint. For the first thing, So as you said, they were sort of doing things up, and all
that. I suppose a more recent example of Potemkin villages is in the north. The DMZ, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea.
Yeah.
And
is that the 39 parallel, is it?
Is it the 39?
Or the 42nd?
I can't remember. It is a parallel.
Yeah.
But actually, it originally followed the parallel exactly, but the post-war, it's basically with the ceasefire lines. Mm-hmm. It goes a little north in the east of Korea and a bit south. You know what I mean? It's a more natural.
Is it some sort of river or something like that, or splits it?
Not necessarily, but it's more or less where the front lines were in 1953 when they came to an armistice, which I think only really was possible because Stalin died. He probably would have kept it going.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say so, because if you think about it, it was draining the resources of the early NATO, if you like.
Yeah. There was a fascinating story about the Battle of Chosin Lake. Don't know if you know about that.
Oh, I do. That was the Marine Corps.
Yeah, they went. It was MacArthur's downfall more than anything else. Well, not downfall. That's the wrong phrase. But
he was overrated, to say the least.
Yes, and didn't he try? He literally attacked by sea to go around the North Koreans. Is that correct?
That was pretty much genius. I think the war started in what, 1950?
1950, yeah.
Okay, so and the South Korea had almost no weapons, and the American forces there were pretty lightly armed. And so whereas the North Koreans had been given like T-34 tanks and kind of like really good World War II era Soviet stuff, which was only 5 years prior.
Right.
And they just, went through the South Korea like shit through a goose,
Okay, yeah.
They went straight down. And basically, if you like, the Allies or the non-commies were reduced to the Busan perimeter. So Busan, I think, is a port city in the sort of south.
That's right, yeah. It's a good bit down. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that's the nearest one to Japan. There is actually like a ferry between Japan and Busan.
And how did the Americans get involved? Were they asked in by the South Koreans?
No, they were there already. They were an occupying force, you see.
Oh, after the war, of course. Yeah, Jesus.
And then what happened? The reason I think it's the only war as such that's been kind of sanctioned by the UN. Mm-hmm. Because the way the Security Council, any one of the permanent members can veto.
Yeah.
So obviously, if the Soviets would have vetoed that, but they were, boycotting the UN at the time in protest of something or other. So all the others were like, right, let's have a vote now.
Really, just put it through.
And that's why it was a UN-sanctioned war.
Oh my God, yeah.
But just to keep on point, so what happened was they managed to hang on, to this Busan thing, and their backs to the wall or the sea. And that gave time to, first of all, Japan had quite a few US troops, but they were occupation troops. They hadn't been training.
So they were still stationed in Korea after the war.
Oh, there was, yeah. Because you see, it was
divided.
The
Koreans hated that, did they?
I think. Well, the trouble was, and actually, this is the thing. While North Korea was always a pretty brutal dictatorship, and that. So was South Korea up until maybe the 70s or 80s.
Oh, really?
It was pretty dodgy in terms of, the least worst people on this peninsula.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So just to say, they managed to beef up this little toehold they had on the bottom of Korea. And then they started pushing north because, obviously they had more resources ultimately. And that was great. But just as you said, and fair play to MacArthur, this is the one good thing he did in this instance, was he decided, hold on, why don't we just go around these guys, and that's what he did. They made a landing at Incheon, which is west of Seoul.
Yeah.
And I was reading about it. Apparently it was a total cock-up. I mean...
They went up to Chosen Lake, but the problem is they were surrounded by Chinese, and they didn't know they were surrounded by Chinese.
No, but that's a bit later. Just the Incheon thing, right?
Okay, sorry, yeah.
What I mean is, so the Incheon thing was, had there been any significant North Korean presence on the shore, they would have been wiped out. They really, like, it was the exact opposite of D-Day. It was a bit half-arsed. And for example, they were going in the launch, the landing boats.
Yeah.
And suddenly they hit a reef and they had to walk in across. It was really poorly done.
Oh my God.
They were lucky.
Yeah.
And then you see they really pushed north and they actually conquered, liberated, whatever, Pyongyang, they occupied it. And probably the thing to have done, if they just stayed there, drawn a line there, so they would have had 3/4 of the peninsula as opposed to all of it or half of it. But instead, MacArthur was, let's wipe out these little commies. So he kept going. And they went right up to near the Yellow River.
That's right. Yeah.
Where the border with China. And even despite really good, there was loads of intelligence reports saying things like, we're seeing like Chinese national troops here. And he said, don't be silly. And then they had another.
But they were actually surrounded on 3 sides, weren't they?
That's in Chosin, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Now the I can't remember the guy's name. The Marine general there, bit of a hero, because MacArthur was like, no. What are you talking about, Chinese? No, keep going north, expand your perimeter and all. And he kind of said, yeah. And so, sure, General, and then did his own thing, which was like, we got to get the hell out of here.
Oh, really?
Or else we're going to lose the 1st Marine Expeditionary Corps or whatever.
Yeah.
So, that's what happened. Now, they probably could have held on like a toehold there because they'd complete naval supremacy and air supremacy, but they just decided to withdraw. There's no point,
They would just waste too many. I suppose after the Second World War, there was probably not an apathy, but I presume because my uncle fought in it.
Really?
Yeah,
in
my
the
uncle,
Korean War.
yeah, my
Wow.
uncle Gene. He married my aunt Carmel from the States. He used to work for the post office,
Okay.
and he fought there. Yeah, and
So did Michael Caine, apparently.
did he really?
Yeah.
God,
yeah.
and it was
He was
so.
like he saw action. He
Yeah,
was on a machine gun, apparently.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I saw, so it's kind of, maybe there was such apathy after the war, after the Second World War, they were thinking, hang on a second, we're doing this again.
I know. Yeah.
Who was president of the USA at the time? Was it Eisenhower?
No, Truman. But then at the end, it was Eisenhower was the president, if you like, who, when they signed the peace deal. Of course, it's not a peace deal; it's an armistice.
Armistice,
you know?
yeah.
Technically, the war is still on. You know.
I think it's amazing that China still supports North Korea.
Do you know there's a very obvious reason why?
Please tell me, what is it?
Well, the thing is, Chinese. I mean, nobody likes the North Koreans, bunch of jumped up tin pot dictators, you know.
Yeah.
But the Chinese don't want. So say this. Let's just say the North collapsed, and this, even if it wasn't invaded, shall we say, by the South, or it just collapsed, the government collapsed, people overthrew your man, whatever his name is, Rocket
Kim
Man.
Jong-un.
Yeah, that's the guy, Rocket Man. But the Chinese then would say, "Holy crap!"
It is a great term. Yeah.
It's good, actually. In fairness, that old Trump guy does come up with good nicknames.
He does.
In fairness, they'd have a massive refugee problem on the border. So you'd have like millions of North Koreans flooding into China, and they don't want that.
So they just pay for the government to wipe their own people out, basically, which is through famines.
No,
and
just
stuff.
just for stability, keep the status quo. Yeah. It's easier for them.
I always think what it's like to live there. I've seen documentaries and stuff, but can you imagine the life that we live now in Ireland? And imagine somebody came down or came across the border and said to us, "Do you know, guys, there's this land outside where the whole world lives." And there's no such thing as money or something. And you'd be going, what?
Yeah.
But our media says this. And
a completely alien
like
concept.
they don't even know.
No.
Most of them don't even know. Like they think that's it.
Yeah.
That's how the whole world lives.
Yeah. They do, yeah.
Yeah, which to me is incredibly shocking. Because I'd imagine when someone gets out,
yeah,
now, and what's happening now is that there's less association
Apparently
with.
they have a very high suicide rate.
Do they?
Yeah, I saw a program about them because it's just so difficult for them to adapt. And then, of course, there's the guilt because they've often left family members behind. And the word is that if someone in your family defects or whatever, you're base gulag for you. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they have a concept in North Korea, not of the individual. As far as I know, there's no word for I. So everything's to do with the family.
Yeah.
So
and self-sufficiency.
Yeah, so if you're talking about something, you wouldn't be talking about yourself. You're talking about, as part of my family, I am going to work. As part of my family, I am going to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, not even I. As part of the family is going to the restaurant, and it could be just you. And so if there's no concept of the individual, then that guilt must be phenomenal if you leave.
Yes.
Knowing that some members of your family are going to get
absolutely. I mean,
killed,
they're going to suffer.
Yeah. You think it's down to refugees, really?
Well,
that's
a good
point.
I've heard.
Very good point.
I mean, I have read a bit about it, and I've seen a few documentaries, and it is a thing. Like, why the hell are they propping up these arseholes? I mean, the Chinese are very pragmatic, and like they're all about trade and build up their economy, and surely, they'd have a bigger market for their goods if it was a unified Korea. Of course, it'd be a competitor too,
Should the South, if war started tomorrow, who would you put your money on to win?
Oh, I mean, the South.
Really?
Yeah, as long as the Americans back them. I mean,
And if the Chinese stayed out of it?
They would, because they're not looking to start a nuclear war.
Okay.
I mean, that I'm saying is if...
Is it not only 35 miles from Seoul to the border, though?
Oh, yeah. It's within artillery range.
So is it in a nuclear bomb range?
Oh, well, you see, yeah.
What
because they think... I saw a thing there that at the moment they think the best intelligence says they've about a couple of dozen, say, Hiroshima-style bombs. That, firecrackers by modern US standards, but they're still pretty nasty weapons.
Do you think they'd launch on technically their own people? Like Northern Ireland bombing us?
But don't forget, there's no, it depends on what the dear leader wants. I mean, if he says launch the missiles, they're going to launch the missiles. I mean, who among them is going to say, I don't know if we should do this, sir?
I think we should talk about this before you do it.
Can we put a pin in this?
Yeah. Because the stories that go around about the original Kim, actually, Kim's an extremely popular Korean name.
Yeah, I think it's like John
or something like that. And it's kind of like, he was born, birds flew him into Korea.
Like on the top of some mountain.
Yeah, and an amazing story, and the reverence they have for them, because they don't know anything else. That's what I find fascinating. But this guy who looks like he just eats Mars bars all the time and has the worst haircut, for the love of God, you're not going to get a barber.
Which pretty much every man in the country imitates because they want to look like the leader.
God, it's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah. It was the Potemkin thing, because in the demilitarized zone, this buffer zone between the two states, if you like, there's only two settlements, okay? There's Panmunjom, I think, which is a kind of where the famous...
is that the joint city that they both pay for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in other words, like there's these... there's a line and one side north, they're always facing each other. But there's another one, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a sort of a village in the north facing south. And it's apparently a total Potemkin village. I mean, there's no one who lives there. But what they do is, it looks really prosperous, but it's basically all a facade. And they have lights on timers that turn off and on during the night.
And big fruit trucks coming in all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look how much food we have.
Yeah. Just to say another funny thing about the dear leader, or the grandfather, whatever. I should think it was Michael Palin. He did a trip to North Korea. It was very interesting.
Good man.
And not too long ago, and the one thing I thought was absolutely hilarious. So there's only like one golf course in Korea.
Go on.
And the tour guide was telling, Michael Palin, he says, and we were so honored, like the dear leader came one day and he went around in 18 shots. It's a hole in one on every hole.
Wow, what amazing.
Having never played before, and then decided, that's golf done for me.
That's Providence looking after you there, is it?
I know.
God almighty.
Unreal.
I was laughing about, did you ever hear the Fabian Society? I think not George Bernard Shaw. Who was your man who wrote Waiting for Godot? Beckett.
Beckett. Samuel Beckett, isn't it? Yeah.
He was in the French Resistance. But the Fabians are...
Was he?
Yeah. The Fabians are a group of people, and their motto is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, which just tells you straight away what they are.
Yeah.
But they were a sort of socialist group.
So that's where it came from. I mean, I've heard that expression before, but I didn't know it was from a particular group.
Well, I don't know if they took it from something else, but if you look at their actual logo, it is literally a wolf.
So it's very much associated with them.
Yeah. Okay. And so they went to Russia before Stalin now, I think. I'm going to guess around... When did Stalin take over? Was it 22, 23?
It was in the early 20s.
Well, it must have been in Stalin's times. But they got a train across Russia, and they were shown, there was Russia showing the British how great everything was.
And I think I know what you mean.
Each town,
another version of a Potemkin.
Exactly. Yeah. Some guy, with like some other guy with a gun behind his head, saying,
"My
smiles."
I live in paradise.
In paradise, yeah. And it was only a journalist who was with them, a British journalist. He kept going from town to town, and he kept noticing this is just a bit odd, I mean,
it's like the same everywhere.
Yeah, he's got like, is this really working? So the Fabian Society went on, and he stayed behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then suddenly he saw the real town, because everyone else had moved on that was doing the touring.
And they thought that the facade, the pretense was.
Yes,
yeah,
and it was one of the very few women who stood up, or people who stood up to Stalin or Lenin, I forget.
Yeah,
she basically came back. She was on that tour as well. She's Rosa.
Luxembourg, is it?
Luxembourg, yeah.
Yeah.
She was on that tour, and she told the Russians to their face, "This is not communism. This is a disaster."
Yeah.
and she came back, and she was a committed socialist now.
Yeah.
But she said that what Russia's doing is not a communist society. It's an
or
absolute
a socialist society. Really.
socialist.
Yeah.
It's terror. It's
Yep.
based off, families being shot and all that
Yep.
stuff. She was ballsy to stand up and say it. But so the Fabians are still going now.
Yeah.
And you'll hear them being talked about more and more because it's their plan. It's fascinating that they're the wolf in sheep's
That is
clothing.
interesting.
Like it's
What was I going to say as well? Yeah, it'll come to me.
We were talking.
Yeah.
Old man.
We were talking about the old man rants, weren't we?
In his 50s. What age are we? We're over middle age now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll put it this way. Okay, we're about 54,
Yeah.
so I think it's unlikely I'm going to live to 108. So we're beyond middle age. You know what I mean?
I'm a heavy smoker, so I'm screwed. Yeah.
No. You'll be tipping ash in all our graves. You're probably indestructible.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I was thinking this today. Like, turning 40 was like, whoa, 40. Oh, my God. Like,
Did you mind 40?
No, but that's the thing. I didn't. I mean, it was no different to being in my 30s.
Yeah.
In fact, I was probably healthier in my 40s than I was in my 30s.
I found when I was 49 and 363 days, I didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
When I hit 50,
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
I know.
And that was on the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Or you actually felt that?
I went, oh my God. Like it was like the 40s you say I didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
But that one number, that 0 with the 5 before it, I don't know what.
Even though, like, as you say, what's the difference between that and
the previous day?
49 and 364 days?
64 days.
But
yeah.
it's like, the way they never priced anything at €20, so it was 19.
I know, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I get it because honestly, I have noticed quite a difference in sort of general overall health in my 50s. Now, there are other reasons why I mightn't be unhealthy, but you just get much more aches and pains. You just don't have the stamina you did.
Yeah.
And of course, the serious or the relevance of this is that, yes, overall populations in more developed countries are living longer, although they're going backwards in the States, would you believe, at the moment?
You're kidding me.
No, I heard
in terms
that.
of average age?
Yeah.
Oh
it's actually dropping for the first time.
And that's
ever.
with probably a lot of less people smoking, I presume.
Well, okay, so the smoking overall rates are down.
Yeah.
But large chunks of the population just have appalling diets.
Yeah.
Like, it's cheaper to bring your kids to McD's than go into if you can find one, a decent supermarket and buy a bunch of veggies and a bit of chicken and cook it yourself,
Jesus.
Which is nuts. But the thing is, because we're all living longer on average, the big thing, of course, is how are we going to, all these pension schemes, that we're supposed to kick in at 65, which I think was set by Bismarck. He was the first one with the pension.
He was the first guy to have pensions, yeah.
Yeah.
But his pension idea, like the average age was something like 62 or
65 was kind of like 95 in
exactly,
our time.
Yeah. But in Bismarck's time, as far as I know, you retired at 60 and you were statistically dead at 62.
Yeah, basically.
So it didn't cost the state much.
But now, of course, that's, everyone lives to that unless they're unlucky enough to have, cancer or some other disease. So
I think that, we have pension liabilities up around the 700 billion.
Yeah.
Ireland
I mean, that's a worldwide thing, isn't it?
It is a worldwide thing, and it's something they're not willing to face up to. It's a bit late now, but it's expectations. The word entitled. I'm entitled to this, and I'm entitled to that. Which I know is part of your contract you are, but it's like I was at a political meeting and there was a guy from Dublin Bus and he was saying, oh, it's ridiculous, we're not getting our pensions. Or sorry, they were talking about the rate or the level of pensions.
Oh, yeah.
And he was about a 40, I'm going to guess 42-year-old, 41-year-old. And I stood up and I said, you do realise you're not going to get your pension in 24 years' time, 25 years'
Maybe
time.
not.
And the person running the meeting said, well, like, what do you mean by that? I said, we don't have the money.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And you'll have to cut your pensions way down because you can't tax people 90. I figured it out. It was something like 93% tax.
Bloody hell!
If people have to pay in order to pay for the pensions.
Yeah.
And you have guards retiring at 50, which I do understand it's a very hard job. But you have people in the civil service retiring in 55, teachers were around 58. And the reality is that we are living a lot longer. Like, what's the average male? 84, is it?
No, maybe
80?
not. I think the average male, I'd have to look it up, but it's into the 80s, like 81, 82 maybe.
Wow.
But women, of course, have an extra year or two on top of that.
Yeah.
Because the reason for that, on average, is because Eastern female hormones are cardioprotective. I think they protect your cardiac health.
Nice.
And so, but then what happens is, obviously, so they have that advantage, but then post-menopause, then their risk gradually goes back to what men are.
Okay.
But the net effect is, I think, they get on average, a couple more years.
More years, yeah.
Just what I'm saying though is that, totally. I mean, geez, the unfunded liabilities is scary. But my point about the fact that, one of the ways they're trying to do it is to push out the retirement age. So, I don't know, you and I maybe won't be eligible for the state pension until what, 67 maybe, as opposed to 65?
Yeah.
And that's all well and good, but it's just the fact that not everyone can work to that age. Like, you always hear about people going, oh, God, I don't need to retire. I'm going to work until I drop. Or there's guys in their 80s doing stressful jobs. Okay, and that's great, but it's not what the average can do. I mean, particularly if your job is kind of a tougher, more manual labor one. I mean, geez, you're worn out,
Well, something will have to be done because we can't afford to pay it. Now, the pension for the private sector, or people like me now,
godless bastards.
Well, no, my state pension is 12,700 or 13,000 euros per year.
Per annum, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas if you have somebody, and I'm going to get a lot of trouble for this, in the civil service, who's earning 100,000 a year, they get about 50 or 60,000. So because they actually contracted into it, and
maybe that's older than us. You know what I mean? Because
I know they're trying to change it, and they did change it with the teachers. Again, I got a big trouble with this. I was
working for the prison service, and it's gone for the older people. They had this sort of guaranteed amount.
Yeah.
Now, as with a lot of things, it's contributor defined.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. If you stick extra money into it, it's good. But if you don't put that much money into it, or just the standard amount that's deducted from your salary, it's not as great.
Not as great.
The other thing I think that is probably a good idea in trying to fund these things, these liabilities, is automatic enrollment in pension schemes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us don't do it until we're, say, in our 30s, so we've missed out 10 years where we should have been put.
I think on the day you're born, the state should put 50,000 into a fund that's driven, that it's a stock market fund.
Okay.
Because anytime you've ever bought the stock market in history,
if you take the long view, is it?
It's always been higher.
Right.
So every time, even in all the great crashes, if you bought it, it's higher now. So if
don't sell.
Yeah. So if you bought it at the peak just before a giant crash, so 1929, the 1979 one, the 89 one, the 2000
oil shocks and stuff.
All those crashes, your money would still be worth more now. So it's a lot cheaper.
I think the key is for in that situation is that if you're able to stay in the market, say you put everything you had in there and you need to get some money back out, then you're screwed. But even
like if it was something that the state did, so the state put 50,000 in the day you're born, it's not going to need it for 66 years. So it can stay in there for 66 years.
Wow.
You can also do your own pensions if you want to.
Yeah.
And even on the 66th year, you can pay the state back the 50 grand if you want
the original.
To. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even though it's, inflation will have taken money off it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean.
But it's a hell of a lot cheaper to do the 50 grand now than to do 4 years of 12,500 when you reach 66.
Yeah.
And you have to find
Good
the money
point.
from somewhere, you know. Anyway, that's called thinking.
I know. It's rare, unfortunately. I saw a thing that the Sovereign Wealth Fund in Norway is
so rich.
monumental because they have done it right. A bit like what you say. I mean, they've just all the windfall money from the North Sea oil, they just basically salted away.
It's worth trillions, you know that.
Well, I heard a figure that for every man, woman, and child in Norway, it's like over 300,000 euros equivalent or something.
Incredible.
Like that. Massive, you know.
And they're building. They're putting a lot of the money into the green energy.
Oh yeah. Mind you, that always strikes me as like a drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
So oil being the drug.
Yeah.
They're flogging all the oil, but they're just not getting high in their own supply.
Exactly.
They
built
looking down their nose at us because we're polluting everywhere. Yeah.
They built a reservoir for a dam, and the reservoir was so big it adjusted the tilt of the earth.
What?
Yeah,
really?
Because of the weight, of water in one area.
That's
by 0.000, but
probably detectable. But yeah,
it was. Yeah.
There's something like that about relativity and light, and the faster you go, the slower time goes. Or whatever.
Yeah.
There's some experience I was reading. I think it was in the Smithsonian a couple of years ago, with atomic clocks, and basically they put one there and one in an elevator going up like this, and it was microscopic, but they could detect.
Oh, that's been proven. It's like to think about Einstein's equation. Just think of speed equals distances over time.
Yeah.
So if you're going the speed of light, it's a constant. Okay.
Yeah.
So it can't go faster or it can't go slower. It's impossible.
Right.
If the speed of light is a constant and the distance.
Hold on, you mean Star Trek's
Star
light?
Trek's, yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the distance is constant, then the only other variable that can change out of the three variables is time.
Oh, right.
So that's it.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that's how he actually proved it, or did it now they did it in the 70s and 80s. They put two clocks, one on a 747, because the higher you go, the faster time goes.
Right.
So the lower,
if you think about it, because if we're on a spinning ball of the Earth,
well, it's to do with the time coming down of. If you think of space time, not just space, space time, then time has to curve downwards to the Earth. Okay, so therefore it goes slower on the Earth, and it goes faster. So if I said to you, you go live up in a mountain for 40 years. I live down on sea level for 40 years.
Yeah.
We'll meet in exactly 40 years' time.
Yeah.
Time is going to go faster for you.
Right.
By a
fraction.
Not even measurable. You know, what it is. Yeah. So they did it with the 747s. They flew around the world. And the clocks came back, and they were different. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's cool.
I think that's actually what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, what's that? It's like that movie, Interstellar.
God, I love that.
That was a great movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was, the way...
Possibly the soundtrack that made it,
Do you know what's interesting? They go down to this planet and it's all water.
Yeah.
And...
they aren't mountains. They're waves.
They're waves. And of course, anyway, one of them is a disaster, you know? But, so by the time they come back to the spaceship, and 20 years have passed for their colleague has been up there and he's now grey-haired and everything. But someone told me, I must watch it again, there's a kind of a background sound like in that scene when they're on the surface of the planet, like tick, whatever, tick. And apparently that's 1 year passing.
God, oh
you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's fascinating. It's mind-bending stuff.
When you look at things like Star Trek and all that stuff, we are limited. It's called the Einstein limit, the Einstein speed limit.
Yeah.
That nothing goes faster than the speed of light.
Yeah, but they haven't discovered hyperspace yet.
Yes, but I think we have the wrong mathematics, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Romans had crap mathematics.
They didn't have zero. The
multiply ix by vi. It's not particularly simple,
I before x and c before v, and
and so therefore it's possible we have the wrong mathematics for the time being.
Could be.
That we have this limit that we can't get past.
I mean, that's the thing about science. I mean, you have to be open to experimentation and new discoveries, and then you adjust your knowledge accordingly.
I suppose. Listen, I was watching Platoon last night.
Oh. Do you know, I haven't seen that in years.
What's your favorite Nam movie that's reflective of the history of it?
I suppose I'd have to say probably Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
it's Kubrick and Arlie Emery.
That's right.
Probably can't say it. It's if you want to stay PG, you can't
I know,
repeat any of that stuff. But
he was brought in not as the actor, I believe.
That's right. He was an advisor.
Yeah. What was the movie called again?
Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah, sorry, Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. So he was brought in. I don't think he'd ever acted, but he was the real deal. He'd been a drill instructor in Vietnam era.
Yeah.
He died not too long ago. Actually,
Jesus,
he's gone. Yeah. But he, so he was coming up with all this brilliant stuff, like the holy hell.
Yeah.
Like, where are you from?
And the names,
Texas. Holy hell! There's only two things from Texas: steers and queers. And I don't see no horns on you, boy. I mean, it's brilliant.
I'd say he did it off the cuff.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I think Kubrick was looking at this and he kind of said to the actor that he'd hired, he said, "Okay, sorry, we don't need you anymore." And that's how he did it. And he made a career out of being military characters in movies.
I wonder how Vietnam vets look at the movies. Do they say? I do believe the one Born on the 4th of July.
Oh, with Tom Cruise, yeah.
Yeah, was it Ron Kovich?
Yes.
Something like that?
I think you're right, Ron Kovich.
Yeah.
The guy who, Tom Cruise's character, didn't he get shot in the spine?
Yeah.
And that was it, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I won't give much away because it is about him as a soldier who gets shot and then he has to go back to the States.
And, of course, before he went out to Vietnam, he was all gung-ho.
Good-looking boy,
country like
all
my
that
dad
stuff.
did. And,
the birds loved him.
Fight the commies, yeah.
And when he comes back, his life turns to shit because the care is just not there. And there's a scene after he's shot and he's in this shithole of a hospital. Oh my God. And, it's been run by nurses. They clearly aren't nurses. They're just there to help out. Yeah. And it's just, for being shot in
really
war.
Poor facilities, yeah.
Yeah. Was that the same in the Second World War, by the way?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, the one thing about the Second World War is a good example. Taxation was really high, to pay for the war. And because it was a large citizen army, I think if you had not treated your soldiers well, people would have not liked that. I mean...
Why do you think that there was a shame when he came back into town that his friends were looking at him with a certain sense of pity for that war? Like, I know it wasn't a popular war, but I wonder was it popular at the start?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
In 64, 63.
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, because, sure, look, I mean, just like we say of the North Koreans or the Soviets or whatever, the Americans were propagandized or whatever. I mean, they were all it was drilled into them, with the Red Scare, the Red Menace, So, yeah, they were thinking, wow, you mean I get a chance to go shoot some commies? Let's do it.
I was reading the book The Heart of Darkness, which was
Joseph
Conrad's book. Yeah, it's very good.
I haven't read that actually. Yeah. And I know a lot about it, but I haven't actually read it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as Apocalypse Now. It's a journey up a river. That's which obviously Apocalypse Now borrowed the idea from The Heart of Darkness. And
I think, by the way, earlier I was confusing Apocalypse Now with Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, they're both great.
So he went up the river in the Belgian Congo, and there was a guy called, it was the same name, Kurtz.
That's right.
Yeah. Who was a massive elephant tusk. What do you call that? Ivory.
Ivory dealer, I suppose,
And he was sent up the river because your man had gone missing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
A really clever book, a whole journey going through the Belgian Congo, which I presume would have been incredibly fascinating for anybody at the time.
It was hell on earth.
Yes, and going up, what was the river they went up in Apocalypse Now?
The Mekong.
Mekong. So going, as each one gets killed, if you haven't seen it by now, for the love of God. Anyway, but it's
1977. You've had enough time now to avoid spoilers.
But it's about that journey up to a guy called Kurtz.
Yeah,
and
which is, of course, Marlon Brando's character. Yeah,
and
yeah.
he just plays it. Do you know when he turned up with that movie?
I think I know. Yeah.
He turned up in a tree.
What?
Yeah.
Like hanging out of a tree or something?
Well, no, he was just sitting up on a tree.
Yeah. He also was enormously fat,
huge,
as well.
Which is why they only do the headshots, is it?
Yeah. It's in shadow. Like,
yeah.
You never, So he's your man. Who's the guy? Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
Would have shot him in kind of dark light, and every now and again, like, his face turns into the light,
right.
and you can see it's Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
But that's because he was as big as a house,
So he turned up fat, did he?
Oh, he was huge. And
also, were they expecting some kind of svelte guy to turn up?
Well, I mean, at least not. Yeah, because don't forget, he was meant to be a special forces colonel or something.
That's a good point. Yeah,
not sort of a Big Mac aficionado.
He was there to serve McDonald's.
Oh, jeez,
the river.
Like, look at this. Is my Silver Star, my Congressional Medal of Honor. Oh, and this is my most Big Macs eaten and whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
But and the other thing is, he refused to learn his lines. So I think they more or less had to just put a camera on him, and he just rambled away, and then they got some usable stuff.
He did ramble very well, though.
Oh, God. Oh, no, I mean,
I'll give him that.
Very talented guy.
You know? It's a sort of, it's to me, it's very much the Vietnam iconic movie.
I think so. Yeah,
for showing you the insanity of it with your man Major Kilgore, who asked the guy to go surfing.
I love the smell. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
It smells of victory.
Jesus Christ! It's a great. When you see these movies so many times, you pick up these little things. There's a great scene where they've landed on the beach. They're down off the helicopter, and you see the two lads out surfing, and they're being knocked off their boards by like these mortar bombs hitting the water. And some poor harassed, I guess lieutenant or something, and he's full gear on. He's crouching down. Robert Duvall's character just standing there, like completely oblivious to all the bombs going off around him, and he goes, "I don't know, sir. Maybe you should find somewhere safer to surf." And he goes, "What do you know, Lieutenant? You're from goddamn New Jersey."
Well,
such a great movie. He won an Oscar for that, I think. Duvall. I think he got a Best Supporting Actor. Yeah.
Well, as Willard, who played Willard again?
Martin Sheen.
Yeah. As he said in his narration, he said he just knew Kilgore wasn't going to get a scratch.
That's it.
It's a brilliant line. Yeah.
It's like, he's just going to. You just knew he's going to go through this war without a scratch.
Yeah.
And do you know that he was originally being played by Harvey Keitel?
Yeah. What happened there?
I don't know. Whatever way, didn't gel, didn't work.
Did Coppola like?
Maybe not. Yeah. I'm not sure the exact reason. The other thing is that Martin Sheen had a heart attack on set,
right,
and that delayed everything as well. You know the scene.
Plus, didn't they have a big storm or something that wiped out the set?
Oh, yeah. And they filmed it in the Philippines. That's the closest jungle.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And so Ferdinand Marcos lent him a fleet of Huey helicopters, which are the same as the Yanks had in the war. Said, here you have the Philippine Air Force helicopter force. And apparently at one stage during filming, they said, "Sorry, we have to take him back and fight some communist terrorists in the north." So they were like, "Oh, okay." They had to wait until this mini war was over, and then they returned the helicopters.
Yeah, I think the one that touched the American audiences the most was Platoon, the one I saw last night.
Of course, it won Best Picture.
Yeah, it was kind of because I think because Stone was there, and he was a soldier himself.
Yeah. Well,
and it was a story about him.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, about the fact that all these guys were there, the blacks, the whites,
Charlie Sheen was the guy. Okay, Charlie Sheen.
The North USA, South USA, and it was all the poor people were being drafted, and all
That's true. Not the so-called senator's son.
The son of their son. And everyone else was dodging it, and then the poor people ended up there. And Charlie Sheen went because he said, why should all the poor people be going? And they all just laughed at him. I said, you had a chance to get out of this. And,
that's right, Jack.
And you're here.
He was a character, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, morally right, but unfortunately kind of dumb. I mean,
and everyone was just counting down their days. They spent, I believe...
It was a year in country.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they say I'm short 20 days...
That means there's 20 days left in their tour.
Is that what that means?
Yeah. So, in other words, if they were to say, I'm short, it's saying, look, I ain't taking a chance here. I can see the end point of my tour, and I don't want to get blown up on the last day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And henceforth, of course, so
what
therefore...
percentage of the army were infantry? Was it about 20%? Maybe?
I don't know. It's a good question. Smaller, probably smaller than you think, because the thing is, what is it? The tail to toe or whatever. Behind each man in the field with a rifle, there's a whole logistics, which is why the Americans, by the way, have been so good at fighting wars, because they have the logistics thing down pat. I mean, famously, I don't know who said this, Patton or someone, or I don't know, who said tactics are for amateurs. Professionals talk about logistics.
Very good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There was a great line from a German general, or German tank commander going into Russia.
Oh yeah.
And he said that famous line. He said, "Before me, I see no enemy. Behind me, I see no supplies."
Yes.
Which are the Russians just bring it in,
sure.
And so
I mean,
they had no fuel
and the Russians did in total scorched earth. I mean, they did
it.
Yeah.
Napoleon as well. You know. In that though, is kind of the average time. What would you think the average time was when you were shot in Vietnam to being on a hospital bed?
Oh, well, that's also Colonel Kilgore. Do you remember in his like, I want my men on the chopper in the hospital within, and that was pretty true. I think
it's 15 minutes. Amazing.
Maybe not that, but not far off. Because if as long as they could get a helicopter in.
Yeah.
Now there was plenty of incidents where, a platoon or something get ambushed in the jungle, and they're under heavy fire, and that's hard luck. If you're, okay, so they might try and get a helicopter in to take out the wounded, but in many cases the helicopter got shot down. They said, "Sorry guys, you're on your own."
There was a very good. You probably saw "We Were Soldiers" with Mel Gibson. He played Hal.
I started watching it. And
Colonel Moore.
Didn't click with me.
Did it not?
No.
Was it a bit too sort of let's pray, all that type of stuff? Or?
Maybe. I just there was something about it I didn't enjoy.
Did you watch the scene where they landed in?
Oh, the landing zone or something.
Yeah, and that it's just 2 hours of just them getting the shit kicked out of them by soldiers. Like what happened when they actually landed. One group just legged it, and they were too young, too naive.
Yeah.
And the Vietnamese dragged them in and said, "Yeah, come this way," and then they pinned them down.
Yeah.
So they basically spent the next 2 hours of the movie trying to get these guys back,
rescue them.
Yeah, and then they were outnumbered completely. And then it was Colonel Moore, and Colonel Moore called Broken Arrow, and which means bomb your own side.
Bomb my position.
Yeah, look, we just got to.
I mean,
we're dead anyway. So
you see, the problem was. The tactic of this sort of helicopter insertion was great in theory because obviously air mobile instead of slogging through jungle and have to cut tracks or whatever. But the other thing is certainly in the first part there was only so many big clearings, natural clearings where you could bring in the helicopters. So the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong knew where they were, so they were as easy to set up ambushes. Later in the war, they had a thing called a daisy cutter bomb, right? Which was an enormous bomb, conventional explosive, that a big sort of transferred helicopter would, like a Chinook or something, would go in prior to the assault and drop this thing, like at night or something, and
just
basically make a massive clearing.
Yeah.
And that way, they weren't dependent on using natural clearings, which obviously the enemy would know all about,
Well, I suppose... They used Agent Orange, didn't they, and all that stuff, and which was a defoliant. I don't know how long it took to defoliate an area. Like it must be quick though.
But probably. I mean, I don't know, but Jesus, horrible side effects, which were denied for a long, long time. But I think now it's more or less accepted that yes, I mean, people exposed to it, they had children with disabilities or malformations because it's just this stuff was poison.
If you listen to the Nixon tapes, you'll hear a great conversation between Nixon and Henry Kissinger. And
great man.
Nixon, well, thank God he was there for this.
Well, he was a pretty.
But Nixon said to Henry Kissinger,
he was an intelligent man.
Yeah, he said, Henry, why don't we just nuke Hanoi?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Henry said, well, Mr. President, we can't really do that. But
it was a matter of Russian retaliation.
Yeah.
Or like the fallout drifts into China. And they have nukes too.
But I give that movie. Well, I think it's called We Were Soldiers or Once We Were Soldiers, something like that. Give it time because it is very prayer at the start.
Give it a chance.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. I don't know, when we were younger, just for anyone listening, we used to collect these, what's the phrase they're called? Every week.
Partwork magazines.
Partwork magazines.
Sort of a limited. There's about, I think 20 plus issues every 2 weeks for about a year or whatever it was.
And this would have been around, what, 89?
No, but early. I think about 86, 87.
86, 87. Yeah. And the war had just finished in 75, so it was only another 11 years afterwards. But it was fascinating to read about, and I think what made Vietnam fascinating for me is because there was so much information on it. The media...
Also, it's far more recent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Much more relatable than, say, World War II.
Would you not think, though, for camera work and being able to fly reporters in, I presume in World War II, a reporter would have attached himself or herself to an army, and that was them for the 5 years or 4 years.
And they learned that they didn't do that in Vietnam, and so they kind of lost control of the narrative.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at, actually there's quite a good miniseries called Generation Kill, which is based in the Second Gulf War, and it's about an embedded... based on his book, an embedded reporter from Rolling Stone magazine who went in with a platoon of, I think, Marines. And that's the way they did it. They discouraged the kind of independent maverick journalists. They wanted them to know where they were, basically.
Didn't they say that it was actually Walter Cronkite that lost the war?
Oh, yeah, that's... Yeah. You see...
Which is a good... he's a very good journalist.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's what America lacks right now, is, you see... You had Walter Cronkite, say, and other guys who, across the board, across the political spectrum, shall we say, people respected him. They thought, well, this is an honourable guy. He's
news is news.
Yeah, he's just telling it like it is, and so and everyone watched, the same news channels, only a couple of them anyway. So so he had a huge audience and huge sway. Now, what happened was, up until the Tet Offensive, which was January 68, up until that point, just non-stop the word coming out was, oh yeah, we're winning this, they're winning it, oh yeah. Because of course they did more or less win every battle they fight, but they weren't holding ground. They'd come in, have a scrap, blow the crap out of everything, and then they'd fly out of there. And then that night the Viet Cong would come back in. It was a waste of time.
So they used to go to the same place 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, or like they'd clear a place out 1 week, and then the next week there's another bunch in there shooting at them. I mean,
was that the story of Hamburger Hill, that it was about the 3rd or 4th time they'd taken that hill?
Yeah, but they didn't hold it.
And every time it was just like Westmoreland said, right, fall back, or not fall back, but come back to camps.
Yeah, instead of
staying on the bloody hill.
Creating a sort of an outpost, so they wouldn't have to do it all over again. Oh, it was a disaster. I mean,
how do you rate him as a general, Westmoreland?
Probably not great. I mean,
was he up against it in terms of media and all that?
Yeah, I suppose that's one thing. To be fair, another villain of the piece was Robert McNamara. Yeah. He was Kennedy's Secretary of Defense, and he was one that they call him. It was a whiz kid. He was one of the guys that Henry Ford II brought in to run Ford Motor Company after World War II, and financially genius, But then he tried to apply economic principles on running a war, and it was a bloody disaster. Yeah. So in other words, their real metric of victory was the body count. So you'd have nightly on the news, like the Marine Corps reports, 150 dead VC or whatever. And it's like, well, that's great, but you're not actually holding any territory. Just a quick, how it should have been done, shall we say. The British did a brilliant job in Malaya. So in the
when was this?
Late 40s into the 60s, I think.
Okay.
So it's quite a period. But so what it was a communist insurgency in Malaysia. And it failed. And the reason it failed is because the British basically did a brilliant job. This is the thing. They actually did win the hearts and minds of the people. They weren't like a bunch of obnoxious Yanks trampling over them. So they had much better, shall we say, sensibilities. They also defended these villages and everything to keep people safe and away from the insurgents. And yes, they kicked their arse as well because they brought the RAF in and everything. Oh yeah, they bombed the crap out of it. I mean, it was just a much more surgical approach, shall we say, like targeted attacks.
The French made a
send a B-52 over,
The French made a mess of it at Dien Bien Phu, in 55.
Problem was they didn't have the high ground. Yeah,
they were in the middle of this valley, which they cleared.
Yeah,
wasn't like the Vietnamese literally carried through the jungle.
Oh yeah,
the guns.
Artillery.
Yeah,
yeah.
They separated it down to wheels and ammunition and all that, and they carried it, and some of them on bikes.
I mean, just to be safe. Vietnamese are very impressive. My God, what a fighting force!
Amazing, yeah. I always laugh. My old boss, God bless him, he's there was two guys. There was one guy from the States and one guy, but he's not like a loud New Yorker type thing, And the other guy was very much an English gentleman, And the English or the New Yorker said, "Well, it wasn't for us, you be all speaking German now and all that type of stuff, and God damn, the British Army is the worst army in the world, and so and so." And the guy, the sort of posh Englishman, turned around quietly, took his glasses off, and said, "Well, at least we weren't beaten by people on bicycles."
Yeah, I know. Jesus.
And that was the end of that conversation.
Oh
but
my God!
It was a great line,
It's just, mind you, there's a lot of that. There's a joke I repeatedly see on like social media, and it's basically supposed to be a conversation between a pilot and air traffic controller in Germany, and basically they're having an argument, and the air traffic controller says to the British pilot, like, "What's the matter with you? Have you never been to this airport before or Dusseldorf before?"
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "Well, I was here several years ago, but I didn't land."
Jesus Christ. Oh, my.
You know what I mean? It's real jingoism,
Yeah. Oh, for God's sake. Jesus.
Ballyhon,
Yeah.
Let's give him a bloody nose and be home for tea and crumpets.
I love that, to be honest.
That's great.
I lived in England for 6 years, and I do.
Yeah.
I'm very much an Anglophile.
Yeah.
I think they're great. I do love that.
They're like cats. At first, they're looking at you like, "Who the F are you?" And then once they get to know you, they're actually quite nice.
Yeah. Someone said a great thing with the English about Churchill. Actually, it was Ricky Gervais.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing like the English love more than being led by some fat arse in a suit and a brolly. And the hardest Englishman will follow him. Like,
God, yeah.
Do you know when D-Day happened, the king had to tell him...
Oh, yeah, he wanted to go in.
He wanted to go in.
Yeah. And as it was, I think he went in a few days later and nearly got blown up by German artillery. Yeah.
Eisenhower had to ask the king to ask him.
Please, tell your man. I mean, not only that, actually the thing that amazed me most about Churchill is that he lived to be, 90?
Yeah.
Despite having multiple heart attacks, drinking gallons of booze. And,
drunk during the whole war.
Yeah,
smoking cigars.
Yep, constantly.
And eating everything and also fighting the Nazis.
Yeah. What's that? I don't know if it's true. Again, it's one of these stories that Churchill was at a dinner party,
Yeah.
And, the woman beside him looks at him disgusted and says, Mr. Prime Minister, you're drunk. And he goes, "That's right, my dear. But in the morning I'll be sober and you'll still be ugly."
That's great.
Oh, it's great.
What
Probably is true, knowing him.
And he got booted out in 45. It must have been.
That's right.
I was
Before
in,
VJ Day, actually. It was
No
that
way.
yeah. They had as soon as the war was over in Europe, they had a general election.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and
because if you're ever in London, next to Green Park, there's the Churchill war rooms.
Oh,
and
is that like the underground rooms? Wow, I haven't seen that.
You see it in the film, the Gary Oldman movie. He played Churchill.
Darker Star.
Darker Stars.
Yeah, he's brilliant in that. I mean, Gary Oldman's superb. Yeah.
Superb. But if you go to the rooms, it is fascinating, and you walk around the rooms, you see all the different
like
communications
and all that stuff. Yeah,
but even that phone call when he called up the president of the USA, and Britain was on its knees, and he was trying his best to try and get the US into the war without the US having to go into the war. Because don't forget, the US was a huge percentage German and Irish.
Oh, there was,
and both. So I think at the time, I think German was the largest
ethnic group, maybe.
Yeah. So it was a hard push for
Eisenhower,
I know. Roosevelt being Dutch.
I guess so. Yeah.
But it's kind of it's if you're ever over there, it's really worth visiting. It's one of the best.
Must do that.
It's just nice for
I've
war.
There are a lot of obviously fantastic museums in the UK. You know, actually just earlier this week I was in the RAF Museum in Cosford, which is one of two RAF. The other one's down in London. And it's very good. It's full of really cool stuff, you know, like Spitfires, obviously, but also German stuff. Even then, they have like Vulcan bomber, Victor, you know, the V bombers. A lot of cool stuff.
What was the best fighter of the Second World War? Was it Zeros?
No, it wasn't a Zero.
Oh, really?
No, not. It was good, but it was as the war progressed, it was greatly outclassed. A couple of ways of looking at it, actually. Actually, I thought the Allied fighter with the most air-to-air kills, I thought was the Hellcat, the Grumman Hellcat, which was quite a tough thing and very powerful, and it totally wiped the Zero out.
Did it?
Yeah.
That must have come late in the war, didn't it?
43 onwards,
okay.
so about halfway through the Pacific War.
Yeah.
And the gas part is it looked quite like the Wildcat, which was inferior to the Zero, but with really highly trained pilots, it could hold its own. You know what I mean? But the Hellcat came along, and apparently loaded Japanese got a real fright because they were they thought it was a Wildcat, but this thing had double the power. And you know, they do these maneuvers like try and outclimb it, which the Zero could do for the other one. Yeah. And suddenly they'd turn around expecting to see like a stalled out Wildcat and shoot it down, and they were like looking down the barrel of a
no
Hellcat.
Way.
You know, it was wicked. Apparently,
so at the time of Pearl Harbor, the Zero was the best fighter.
Yeah. In the Pacific War,
War.
In the Western European, it probably actually was the Messerschmitt. It had a slight edge on the Spitfire. That was later in the war. The Spitfire, it was proved capable of more development, and of course, I suppose probably the most significant, the Mustang in the West, because it had the range to extract the bombers.
Oh, I see.
And interestingly, they kind of realized that, you know, this idea of strategic bombing was not working. They weren't really able to like knock out critical industries to an extent.
It was just carpet, was it?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yes, but the big thing was they decided that the net effect of sending these bombers over was drawing out the Luftwaffe, and then the job of the Mustangs and all that was to destroy the Luftwaffe, which they did.
Very good.
And,
there was a great scene from the film Fury.
With
Brad Pitt, and the tanks are rolling into Germany, and they look up, and it's a brilliant scene. It's just hundreds of planes, bombers, flying into Germany, accompanied by fighters.
Yep.
And from the German side, you see about 10 or 15 fighters.
That's it.
That's it.
You know, because...
And that was it. Nothing else.
There's a common mistake that the Germans and the Japanese made was that they started the war with possibly the best pilots, the best training. Don't forget they had recent experience both in Spain and then in China, you know. But they didn't keep it up. So what happened was they kept these pilots, these expert pilots, in combat until they either cracked up, died, or whatever. Instead, the Allies, one of the reasons, you know, you see these German guys with like 200-300 kills, like a massive amount. Partly because they were facing masses of outdated Soviet stuff.
Okay.
But another reason was because they were in there for the duration. Whereas some of the American aces, Chuck Yeager probably being the best known, these guys did a tour.
Chuck Yeager's a real...
Oh, he's the real deal. Yeah.
I thought it was fiction.
God, no. He's the first. He's the man supposedly who broke the sound barrier first, Mach 1,
of course,
in the Bell X1.
Yeah.
But the thing was, they rotate them out then, so they wouldn't leave them in there. If they were left in there, they'd probably rack up more kills. Yeah, so they'd take them out, and then they'd send them to the training bases in the States and in Canada and Australia, whatever, to train the next batch. So they were able to pass on the expertise, whereas that never happened, and because they were all dead, the so-called expert or the,
Well, look, we're going to wrap up there. I'll just say one thing.
One thing, by the way.
Yeah.
I think we started this conversation about whataboutism.
Oh, yeah.
And we kind of didn't even touch on that at all, but maybe we'll come back to that.
We talk about, it was a job.
Jobsworth. Oh, Jobsworth, yeah. No, it's just very quickly, I was thinking of it because I was over in England last week and I went to post something in a parcel force thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you can't actually pay for the parcel at the depot anymore. You used to be able to. Yeah. And this gormless one, after I had just bloody well taken these 3 boxes out of the car, having to empty the car and a lot of work, she says, "Have you paid for the postage?" And I'm like, "No." She goes, "Oh, we can't do that here." And to her, that was it. And it was only because there was actually there was a Polish woman sitting behind her who then sort of said, "Well, you know what you could do? You could pay for it online and we'll print the label and Bob's your uncle," which is what happened after about an hour. Dear God. I mean, no wonder they lost their empire.
Oh, stop. Jesus. Right, on that note.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll call it a day.
Very good.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Apologies to anyone we have offended along the way. Well, sorry, not sorry. Okay, good one. Adios. See you next time.